Senwati?
Well, in a sense, I feel really proud that, we as a nation making some sort of strive to become more independent. You understand? But we need more of an independent mentality. We cannot, we have to really take into a lot of consideration us, with Holland coming to oversee. We must remember that we are an entirely different culture. Holland is Holland, France is France, and Swaliga is Swaliga.
True.
So it's going to be a little culture difference. We can't, Holland is going to come, set certain rules and what to certain things that we as a people and a nation are not accustomed to. So all these factors we must take into consideration as we go forward, into this so-called country separate status and whatnot. So we must really strive to become really independent as soon as possible. Today even. You understand? Mentally. You understand? Because Holland and France may have taken away our birthright and label us as they please, but we have the right to define or acknowledge our own identity through our own eyes and consciousness.
Yes, sir.
Yours. So, Swaligan people, this is a mental battle right now. It is a mental battle that we as a nation are battling. If we don't come out of this psychological slave mentality.
Why you call it psychological?
Because it's a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
We now are programmed to do certain things. Like this whole election thing. We are so programmed, we see our parents vote, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I for DP, I for this one, and I for that one. Because our parents do it, we do it.
Yes,
we don't critically analyze what are really the views of these politicians as young people. You know what I mean? They're not politically educated. So we must be politically educated, politically mature, politically conscious in order for us to make a good political choice. We don't just vote because vote for vote's sake and my mother vote for this one and that's who she'd vote for.
Mm-hmm.
We have to really critically analyze, boy, who am I voting for? What is his views?
Yes, sir.
Is his views good for my generation? Is this what we're going to teach our generation if we are coming into a so-called independent status, country status? Are we going to teach our generation this same old,
pattern of voting?
Brainwash mentality? We cannot go into this generation like that, because then we'll be falling into the same trap as we are seeing it today. 20 years ago, this is the same thing that
True.
all these roads that we see, all these things that we see develop, but our paychecks ain't being developed. You know what I mean? We're still working for the same amount of pay, and all of this should be taken into consideration. We must be economically educated as well.
Yes, sir.
Because, as I say, I'm not here to knock anyone or any other nation, but just drawing examples, the Chinese, the Indians, and other people, other races, when they come, open up their businesses, we all go and spend our money in their businesses. You understand?
Yeah.
So their community becomes more richer, and our community becomes more impoverished and more poorer, because after we finish buy food from the Chinese, clothes in town, and other places where we spend money, our money leaves the community. So no money circulates back into our community. And when no money circulates into the community, we become impoverished. And when your community becomes impoverished, it's a breeding ground for crime, violence, drugs, prostitution, all the malicious things that you can think about.
Yes, sir.
So we must be economically educated. If we own businesses, and if we run and establish more businesses, then when my people or any other nation come to buy from our businesses, money come into our community, and it circulates into our community because friends, family, all these things. But as long as money keeps going out, we economically become poor. So this is a whole economic battle that we are facing. We are facing battles on so many fronts.
Yes, sir.
But this is why education, you understand, the right education, historical, cultural, all these things play a vital role into creating this society that, you know, we want to maintain and keep as Swaligan people.
So if you have to make it in the school now, you tell me you don't went in the schools already.
Well, I didn't really went to the schools, but I talked to a teacher
Mm-hmm.
who told me to talk to the directors, you know what I mean, the
Mhm.
other school boards, and reason with them. You know, introduce. I don't know if anybody ever done it, but I encourage people to introduce, you know, all the elders who have this historical knowledge, introduce some sort of program to the directors, the school of board, where we can get this swiftly as possible in the schools. You understand? Because just like Nike and all these things, these name brands are branded in the kids' names, in the kids' minds from young. So they grow up seeing these things.
We too.
We as well. Well,
Yeah.
we as well. You understand?
Yeah.
But if we start branding them with names like Wantete Loke, you understand? Jose Lake or Lasana Siku and Ruby Butte, they will start to familiarize with themselves as they grow older. Okay, that's our, you know, people
Yes.
who has contribute a lot of historical things to us, you know, and scholarly insight to what you know what is going on. If we only start making these things a part of our lives, you will see a totally big shift in the way we do things.
Yes, sir.
If we do not attack this educational situation, we are doomed to fall.
So you say change can start from in the schools then?
It
must start from the
in the
school.
school, because that's where we spend most of our lives. Think about it. 5 days a week, from till we reach what, 18, 19, we are in the schools. You understand? Our parents are working and we in the schools, so something must be. Moral education also there must be a class for moral education as well.
Yes, sir.
So that don't always put the pressure on the parents.
Yeah, but I just going to tell you that.
We have to take consideration. Parents are the reality is my mother and my father got to work. This is the reality. If they don't work, they can't put some kind of food or pay for their bills for us to have at least a decent type of living. So we must schools have to take into consideration, we need more moral education in the schools.
Yes, sir.
If I'm going to send my kids
School from 7:30 to 12:30, sometime 1 o'clock.
for until what, over a decade of their lives, don't you think they have to learn something with moral education? You understand? I know it's the parents' responsibility, yes. Parents must be held accountable as well. But let us face the reality today. Some parents got 2 jobs, and some parents got jobs that they just working overtime, and they don't have time. Economically, all of this ties up, because economically we are not in a situation where we can be there for our kids all the time. It is the reality that we are facing today as a nation of people. So these critical analysis is what we must take into consideration and really look at it from all the dimensions, rather than just looking at it through a narrow spectacle. You understand? This is the reality. Ones and ones have to start attacking the schools. When I mean attack, I mean literally just going to the schools, the people who have these type of education in the schools. Incorporate the right education, incorporate them into the schools so that the younger generation can grow up into this thing, you know, knowing who they are, loving themselves, you know what I mean, being more moral and respectful. I seen kids, the garbage is right next to them, and they would throw the garbage right in front of them, and the garbage is right next to them. These sorts of things is like, it really hurts me, you understand, it really hurts me to see that mentally, we are not in the right state of mind. We are not looking at this thing real critically at all. We are, as I say, we as a people have been dumbed down throughout the years. Throughout the years, we are not really looking at this thing and really taking necessary action. We are always waiting for someone to come and do for us. We must now rise up as a Swaligan people and do for ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Rastafari, you know?
Yes, sir, Ras Kingson. He come down here with a lot of fire. Same way, so it needs to be heard. Somebody needs to say it for the people them to know. My people, them the number to dial is 5430462. And I go run a tune by the one they call I Octane. From all my roots, the African culture, I'm bringing the European doctrines. Hey! From all my roots. They're bringing the European doctrine, songs of high octane. This is what's going on, my people. The doctrine in the school is not I doctrine, and this is the European doctrine. So this is one of the reasons we find we use them, we find we sell, because I once upon a time they like my straight hair. But now I got the natty roots, I don't know.
right.
Is the natural, is the reality. So my brethren, what we gonna say to the youths in them? Because me is one I always reason with the youths them, and like I tell you before, sometimes when you tell them about the African roots and culture, it's like, yes, sister, what you're saying sound good now, but me know nothing about that. Like you say, they ain't get nothing education, but still we find we use them enough crime and enough. I mean, you find them straight. It ain't necessarily mean that they gonna be crime, but they're just on the streets loitering from morning to night, you know, ain't doing nothing, looking for work, looking for something to do. What strength you could give my brothers and sisters?
Right. Well, basically I could say, you know, we must realize and utilize our full potential as men and women of this day, in this time, and on this earth. Swaligans, rise up and do what it is that you have to do. You understand? And I know they use them, as I say, they're going buck wild right now, because I feel it's a lack of jobs also, you know what I mean? They don't have nothing to do, a lot of idle hands going around, you know what I mean? Also, the money. You understand? The money, we are not, the youths know about money today. We can't work for these crumbs anymore. I'm sorry. You understand?
Where is that for?
When I mean I'm sorry is that I know the older generation could have bear with it.
But the economy wasn't so expensive,
But you see, I wanted to touch on, like, you see, look at how the psychology is. We feel that, oh, the recession and all these sorts of things, but black people have been facing recessions from the time they was born. From the time we was stolen. Under this colonial roots, and from time we came up, they stole us from Africa.
Yes,
You understand? We have been in a recession since then.
Straight up.
You understand? So we cannot buy into the ideology that, oh, now we enter a recession and now, oh, because the economy is slow. Is nothing goes so. For years and years we have been at the foothills.
600 years. When they free us from slavery, they didn't give us no money.
Right. We have been at the foothills of every nation on earth. So we must start taking a good look at ourselves and start analyzing, is this who we are? At the foothills of every nation?
Is this the best for
Is
I
the
and I
best
in
that
life?
we can do?
Yes,
I want to live in lowlands and the beachfront areas. I want to own a hotel. I want to see Air Swaligan.
Yes,
Our own airplanes. Envision great things for yourself, young Swaligans. Envision a greater you. I ain't asking you to dream. I asking you to envision something that is a reality. Not dream. The dream is only when you're sleeping. A reality for yourself. You understand? Another thing I wanted to touch on is the jail. We need an educational system in the jail.
In the prison.
In the prison.
Why you say so?
Why I say that is because when these youths come out of jail, what they coming out into a society to what? Do the same thing? You understand? They need to be educated in a way that when they come out to society, they can function.
But I think
they have learned from what they had done wrong and their mistake. So locking them up in a cell and just, you know.
Sometimes they have computer course. I've seen in newspaper they accomplish some computer course.
Right. But you need, the jail should be an educational system in itself.
Yes, so like
if you're going to lock me up, educate me. Sure. Because you locking me up, you know what's to be caged in a room, just little time.
A room, you say? You get the bathroom, some bathrooms bigger than this. Some bathrooms bigger than this.